We'll find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll find more.
We'll find it, no problem.
I did.
I signed a bunch of stuff this morning, but not sure if we got
I
everything.
don't have time to move on
Well,
that.
she's gonna email me. She's
worry about it.
emailing me everything, so I'll start over if we have to.
Okay, okay.
Sorry about that.
Work on this for a minute.
Work on it?
Heard it.
Oh,
No, gotta erase it.
okay.
Which one? Oh, he's
He always looks good.
He's a sharp
Always
dressed
looks
man.
good, I know it.
Everybody.
I know it.
Sharp dressed man.
I love Reverend Cumming because I guarantee you, he dresses up the rest of us for sure.
Me and you find a good thing in the pot.
Well, I don't know, we used to.
Sound like he done made you, buddy.
Don't make me call this page.
We just like you easy.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I know, I'm waiting on Gary, yo, it's 10 o'clock. Go ahead and start, Amy. That'll be all right. Okay. All right. If you would, please rise. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. And I would like the records to reflect that this is the regular session of the Angelina County Commissioners Court. It is 10 a.m. Tuesday, September the 22nd. And let the record reflect that all the members of the court are present. I can't welcome everybody now because we don't have a full agenda in here, all right? But everybody that's in the hallway, welcome, okay? And opening prayer is by Reverend Oscar Dixon, Overcomers Through Faith Ministries Church here in Lufkin, and we're always honored to have the Reverend. Reverend?
Father, we come this morning with thanksgiving in our heart. We're grateful that you stayed up all night last night just to watch over us, and for that we're grateful. Thank you for waking us, and thank you for traveling grace. Now we're about to make some decisions, God, and we ask that you will help these, your sons and your daughters, my brothers and my sisters, to come together, to pool their resources, that they may accomplish the goals that are set before them. And keep us all in the center of your will, because we know your will be done. In the name of Jesus, we ask it. We receive it by faith, and we thank you for it. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend. And please follow Commissioner Cheshire as we honor the U.S. flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And follow Commissioner Kennedy as we honor the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. And be seated. All right. Thank you, ma'am.
You see what I did? Oh, I missed it.
Okay. Now let's move on to item number 4, the public forum. Let's see here.
Oh, I got the picture. Where did I take it?
Matt Adams. Items listed on the agenda are now open for the public comment. If you would like to comment on a specific item or items, please come to the microphone and state your name and specific agenda item or items you wish to address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes total. Commissioners Court members will not respond during the public comments, but will take your comments into consideration during their deliberations. Please state your name, please, sir.
Sure. My name is Matt Adams. Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I served on the most recent grievance committee in regards to the parity of pay for constables precincts 2, 3, and 4. And after listening to their statements on the constables' lawyers, the former county judge, and one of the county commissioners, the committee voted 8-1 in favor of raising the constables of precincts 2, 3, and 4 base pay and vehicle mileage pay to equal the base pay and vehicle mileage pay of Constable of Precinct 1. The one individual who voted no to equalizing the pay did not offer much defense to his viewpoint, only that the previous method of determining the constable's pay based on the workload metrics utilized was good. That was all that he offered. The rest of the committee thought that the metric and thought process of determining the constable's change in base pay and mileage pay as a result of the state statute in 2010, although at the time was done with good intentions and with good faith, is now outdated and needs to be updated. Now we need you to do what is just, fair, and with good faith in these times as they did back in 2010. I want to break down the points that led to the majority of the committee's decision on why the pay of the constable should be equalized. Point number one, as elected officials, as the constables, they should all receive the same pay regardless of the population density, road miles, square mileage, etc. They are selected by the members of the precincts and do not have a hand in determining their precinct lines. You are sitting before me as commissioners should know that and understand that, because we were told as the committee that your all pay is the same, and yet you all have elected officials representing your precincts that the constables represent. Number two, the metrics displayed to the committee were not all-inclusive. The metrics presented did not showed what they could be pulled. Paper served, citations written, and there were a few others that I just can't remember. But as we all know, responsibilities of a peace officer are much more than that. They are a lot more intangibles that cannot be accurately captured. Yes, the first precinct has the city of Lufkin included, but the remaining constables are serving the far-out members of our county, just as the ones living in the city limits of Lufkin. To boil down what these peace officers do in 2 to 3 stat numbers is not fair or fully represents what the daily responsibilities are. Then my last point, and probably my biggest point personally, is that we were assured that the county would not increase the taxes to offset the added salaries to equalize the pay. It was described to us for this fiscal year that the difference in pay would be covered by the contingency fund, if not mistaken, had $200,000 in it each year to cover the $30,000 of difference in pay. With the county's budget at $19.6 million, I'm more than confident that $30,000 can be found in other areas of the budget to supplement the costs and raise the salaries to the future fiscal years to come. Just keep our taxes where they're at. And if you need help finding to get those funds, give me a call. It's what I do for a living. Thank you for letting me speak to you today and represent these constables, and I hope you all take what the grievance committee voted as an overwhelming majority, and that these constables deserve to have the same pay as their counterpart. It's your time now as the court to do what is just, fair, and in good faith. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Amy Mitchell. Hey, Amy. Please state your
Bring it
name.
down.
Okay, all right.
Hi, I'm Amy Mitchell. I want to speak on item number 4 on your agenda. I'd like to voice my concern on the issues surrounding the inequality in pay for the constables. The total needed to right the inequality is $30,690, which includes the salary and fuel adjustments needed. In a budget as large as the county's, this is pennies. Surely these funds can be found and reallocated, and as I understand it, the funds are already in a contingency fund for this reason. If that were not an option, surely some of the over $1 million in increased revenue from the property taxes that you're about to discuss would be available for such a task. I also see no logical reason for the inequality in pay among them. I understand that there is an argument that one constable is thought to be busier than the others. I feel this to be a management issue. The other constables of our county are more than capable and willing to serve papers, as well as escort funeral services, in addition to what they already have on their plate. If the majority of those duties are being routed to one particular constable's office, then this is poor management and should be corrected. We on the lower end of the county are often quite dependent on our constable and consider him an extension of our county law enforcement, as do, I'm sure, many Angelina County residents in rural areas. The underpaid constables serve some of the poorest areas of Angelina County. I hate to use a hot-button term, but you're basically defunding or underfunding these areas that need the help the most. This is a problem that we see daily on the news, and I had hoped we would never see in our county. I think that if you were to poll your constituents, you would find the vast majority are in favor of this, as was shown by the 8-1 ruling of the grievance committee. If that committee is what it was intended to be, which is a representation of our county, then that should tell you that over 88% of residents would be in favor. I can't remember the last time an election was won with 88% of voters, can you? Please don't let us down and support our constables. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Tom Harris. Go, Tom.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Tom Harris, Angelina County citizen. I just wanted to address the board. First of all, I want to say I really appreciate the public forum being brought back so that people can express their
Thank you,
things.
sir.
I want to speak in behalf of the constables. I'm very not all knowledgeable, all the proceedings in and out and things y'all have to do with what, but I just wanted to say that as far as the constable, I think all of them do the same job, basically. They should all be paid level, you know, in expenses or whatever. I value y'all's opinions on things, but this looks like common sense to me. That, you know, why should you pay one person or two people more than, we don't have an incentive pay on this system, I don't think, so why not level it all out and everybody draw the same thing? Now, as far as y'all's job, I think y'all do a good job. You got a lot of problems, a lot of stress, whatever, but I remember back one time seeing an application for a job, and it said the person must have integrity and honesty. And I thought, now that's kind of stupid. Why would you have to tell somebody? But I guess in this day and age, you have to. So I'd like to appreciate y'all to use that integrity and honesty and really look at this system and see if we can't make it a little better. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right. Now we'll close the public forum and move on to item number 5, discussion action. There's none other out there, right? Okay. Just want to make sure. We'll close the public forum, move on to item number 5, discussion action on amended minutes for August 25th, 2020. Item 12, Commissioners Court. Let's see here. And this is the amended. Does everybody understand where the change was?
Y'all had already approved these minutes, and I realized that on number 12, because I've used previous minutes to do these, it had that the judge voted against item number 12, which he did not, so I corrected it.
Okay. All righty. Okay. Gentlemen?
Motion approved.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. Item number 6, discussion action on minutes for September 8th, 2020 Commissioners Court. Gentlemen?
Motion to approve is read. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. All right. Item number 7, appearance of Michael G. Parker, Everett Grivet Jr. and Associates Incorporated, to discuss and request approval of the final plat of FM 2251, subdivision number 1 in precinct 1. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. My name is Michael Parker, and I'm here on behalf of my client. Property located on FM 2251 is approximately 3.6 acres. There's actually the house place on one of them, but they wanted to divide the property over different reasons, and so therefore we've got 2 lots, one with basically the house plus land behind it, and then another lot that's vacant, but each one has frontage on the farm road. Going down the farm road, I think 90 feet on one and 203 on the other. So I have given the information to Commissioner Harrison, and would ask your approval of the plat or any question that you have.
All right. Gentlemen?
I don't see no problem with it, so I'll go ahead and make a motion to pass.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass unanimously. All right. Item number 8, appearance of Michael G. Parker, Everett Grivet Jr. and Associates Incorporated, to discuss and request approval of the final plat of Tom Holland Road subdivision 2 in precinct 3. Michael?
This is another minor plat that does not have any new roads. It's got plenty of road frontage, 300 plus on each lot. It's approximately 16.9 acres, and they're dividing it into 2 tracts of 8+ acres. Once again, the one of them has a house on it, and the other is a vacant property, and they're asking to divide the property into 2 parcels. So, once again, I have given the information to Commissioner Pitts, and will ask your approval of the plat, or if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Motion to approve. Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass.
Thank you.
Upstairs. Thank you, sir. All right, item number 9, discussion action on a recommendation from the Salary Grievance Committee. Gentlemen, I think everybody knows what we're faced with this morning. There's been a lot of discussion about it. Need to go ahead and get the comments out in the open, let everybody know exactly what we're faced with. There was a comment during the Salary Grievance Committee. I was asked a question as chairman whether or not it was going to increase taxes this year, and the answer was no, because we had already established our tax rate. It is not going to increase taxes this year, okay? Because the money was, if we decided to go forward with it, it was going to come out of contingency fund. It will increase taxes next year, more than likely. I can't see any way that it does not. So I just wanted to clarify that. That was something that was said during the committee meeting. Now, floor is open.
You mean to tell me that $30,000 is gonna affect next year's tax rate when we have a surplus revenue, of tax, new revenue that's been added, $1 billion?
Oh, yeah.
It's going to affect our tax rate next
It
year.
is, because that's not
$30,000
that is not the, you asked me a question, Commissioner, allow me to answer it.
I'm gonna clarify something. $30,000 in a $19+ million budget is gonna affect our tax rate?
It is.
How can you sit up here in good conscience and tell the people that kind of stuff? You're misleading the people.
How can you sit up here in clear conscience and when there's not a salary increase throughout the county and continually
issue we
give
need
your
to address.
people
That's an
salary
issue.
increase?
That's an absolute issue we need to address.
That's right.
Sure do.
The people in your precinct get salary increases where we're not allowed to, we have not been able to give salary increases countywide. And that is something that is definitely a contention. But in address to this, there is going to be other issues that we're looking at this next year. This is not just the $30,000. We're going to be looking at something else. Let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish, please.
Our next year's budget's going to be
Let
over
me
$20
finish,
million.
please. This $30,000 is going to have other things that are added to it that are all because of the outcome of this. It's actually going to be closer to $50,000 by the time we're said and done. The other thing is that we have taken money out of our emergency funds that we can't continue to keep doing. We're going to have to start building those emergency funds back up. There's been several things that have been done this year that we're definitely going to have to address next year. All right, now, go ahead and say your piece.
I've said my piece. There is no way that $30,000 is going to significantly affect our current tax rate this year or next year. There's just no fallible way that you can explain that. I believe that's a disservice to the people that we represent by telling them that, yeah, this is going to be a tax increase.
If you knew everything that I knew, then you would, I don't know that you would look at things differently, but anyway, precinct 3.
I'm
Commissioner
privy to the
Pitts?
same information you are. Tell us something that we don't know.
It's coming. Terry?
I don't have any comments. I'm ready to vote whenever y'all are.
I make a motion that we approve the salary grievance committee's recommendation and give precinct 2, 3, and 4 their, pay equivalents and travel expense equivalents.
I second.
All right. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Now is the time for any additional comment.
I was on the fence a lot about whether to do this or not. And the grievance committee did vote 8-1 to approve that. So, I still feel not giving the salary increase to all the other employees is something we still need to work on. But we won't be able to work on it this year though, but
Nope.
we still need to do that.
I absolutely agree, Kermit, it needs to be a priority. And-
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
it's something that we addressed 2 years in a row now,
Yeah.
you know?
You know, can I say something now?
Certainly.
I've had a little battle with this myself, you know what I mean? Because of the bare fact of, we're not, these guys need taken care of. I understand that. I really do. But the whole county employees need taken care of too.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Good Lord's gonna put me somewhere else here for long, so I won't have a dog in this fight, other than that I'm gonna be a citizen. And I want this money spent right. I don't want to pay higher taxes. So somehow or another, I'm gonna be looking for you guys to make this right in our tax base. You know what I'm saying? So, I've listened to these folks this morning. They've got a real good, I guess, opinion, and I can see what they're saying. So, I don't know. We just need to take care of this, and then maybe we gotta take care of our people too, though. The rest of our people. These guys are our people too, but.
Greg, I respect your opinion, most definitely, and it's very valid, absolutely very valid. But the difference, we're not comparing apples to apples, okay? Our county employees as a whole need to be taken care of, absolutely, 100%. We should have done it last year.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we
That's
should
on-
have.
That's on us.
Right.
100% of that is on us sitting right up here on this bench, okay? But to compare them to these elected officials to the employees is disingenuous to both sides.
Yeah.
In my opinion, again, I'm offering my opinion,
Right.
all right? These elected officials are elected by their constituents to do two responsibilities: be a bailiff to the court and serve papers. Now, if one constable has 3 papers to serve and one constable has 30 papers to serve, that's his responsibility. Okay, just like all 4 of us up here, besides the judge who makes 100,000, we make 60,000, okay? Don't mean to throw anybody else under the bus, but other departments, elected officials in the county make the same thing that we do, okay, for doing different jobs, okay? There is no reason why there should be disparity between the 4 constables because they're elected officials in an algorithm that was set up 10 years ago, which is now out of date. Let's bring it in line, just like so many other counties across the state has done. That's the position I stand on.
All right, very well said, buddy.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor, and I'd like to ask Counselor Carey, there is additional thing that needs to be added to the budget. Is this the proper time to be adding an additional? There's been a request from a previous Well, let's go ahead and vote on this first, and then I'll go ahead, because we're gonna adopt the budget next. So we'll go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Like I say,
Yeah.
if the court adopts the recommendations of the committee, then it would require a change to the proposed budget.
Right.
To reflect that.
Right.
That could be taken up at the time that the budget's taken up.
Right, which is gonna be next item. Okay, all right. We do have a motion on the floor to accept the recommendation of the Salary Grievance Committee, which is exactly to match the salary of Precinct 1 Commissioner across the board to all the other
Precinct 1 constable.
Precinct 1 Constable to 2, 3, and 4 constables, and also match the travel expense up another $1,000 to match the same as Precinct 1 Constable. All right. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion does pass. All right. Now, moving on to item number 10, discussion action on adoption of the fiscal year 2021 budget for Angelina County, Texas. The one thing that needs to be discussed is, well, actually, there's two things. Number one, the actual budget is not the proposed budget. The actual budget, as it is presented right now, is the budget that came out of the very last budget workshop. And that's the one that we're voting on, plus the recommendations from the Salary
Hey.
Grievance Committee.
Shut that door for us. All the giggling going on.
That'd be
Can't hear
fine.
you.
Thanks, sir. That'll be fine. So, to reiterate, this actual budget for fiscal year 2021 is going to be the result of the final budget workshop, which had quite a few changes in it from the original judge's proposed budget. Now, in adoption of that, we're taking a recommendation of the Salary Grievance Committee, which is accepted. Now, there's one other thing that needs to be discussed. Precinct 1 Constable has asked for 2 years in a row to get some help. He has, he's actually, I know that the discussion has been that performance doesn't matter. Everybody should be paid exactly the same. I've always had a problem with that because that's the way government looks at things, and performance does matter, but neither here nor there, that's passed. What I'm seeing is that basically Precinct 1 Constable does 4 times as many papers served as Precinct 2, 7 times as many papers served as 3 and 4 precinct constables. I recommend that we go ahead and honor Precinct 1 Constable's request for a part-time deputy to help him serving his paperwork. It's not an increase in salary. Everybody's even now. Everything's gone. But the man needs some help, and he's been needing help for several years now. And I recommend that we go ahead and approve that $17,000 request. He's furnishing one of his own automobiles, but he needs to buy uniforms, and he's going to use that part-time deputy sparingly, but that would be a maximum amount of money, and that's where the additional to the $30,000 comes in, Commissioner Cheshire. The $17,000 that we're looking at on top of that, $30,000 would be looking at close to $50,000 that we're talking about adding to the budget.
Which ain't a lot of money in $19 million. So I make a motion to approve. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a
What's
second
his-
on the
what's his
floor.
pay? What's his,
Just a minute. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Now?
Yes.
All right.
What's his, pay scale that he's gonna be putting it at, his partner?
7.
It's going to be part-time, and he's going to set that up to a limit.
Okay, but we set that limit, he doesn't set that limit.
He asked for
I have no earthly
$17,000,
idea.
did he not?
But it was laid out to begin with, and I don't have that in front of me.
Well, we're not gonna approve something blindly.
Let me see if it is spelled out in his request.
Did he request that this year again?
No,
No, he requested it verbally, did not come back with a
So
formal
we don't have it,
request.
we don't have it on that.
We don't have it on this year's request. He did verbally request it, but, you know, when he knew that there wasn't a chance of it going forward, he decided not to push it.
So we can set it, so he's gonna work in part-time,
It's just gonna be
and we can
part-time.
set a cap for a year of not to go over 17,000?
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that's
But you
it.
have to set the amount,
Right.
okay, and then you'll break that amount out over the year.
How he wants to
However
work.
he wants to do it, he can't work over 30 hours a week,
Yeah,
okay? And
but it's not gonna
It
be
won't be no
17,000, because he's gonna buy uniforms out of that. That's also gonna have some additional travel that's gonna come out of that. And it's also gonna be, he's furnishing a second automobile that he has, and he's going to, there was some other expense
What is-
that he was looking at,
what is
but anyway,
his
it's
salary?
covering, he's just gonna take what's left,
Out of that.
sure, but it will not exceed that 17,000.
But that was the number, Don.
That's 17,000 was the original request for the part-time deputy position, plus the other things that he's having to do.
Yeah.
That is what's added to his budget. It's gonna buy uniforms and everything
Yeah.
else.
Okay.
As far as what's a fair hourly rate, I don't know. Commissioner Cheshire, you would be in better position to know that than
Well,
any of us with your
I'm
previous
familiar with what
experience.
he requested last year, and it's just strange to me. Last year you weren't in favor of it, now this year you are.
Situations have changed, my friend.
That's $1,460.66 a month. What he'll have.
It's not a lot of money. The way it was explained to me a year ago, if my memory serves me correctly.
Yeah.
His primary duty was gonna be able to be, serving as a bailiff, when he wasn't available,
Right,
because of the volume of papers that he was having to serve and things like that.
yeah,
Essentially, he would have access to a patrol unit, but most of his duties would be focused inside the court as a bailiff. But now how Constable Selman chooses to utilize him is up to him.
yeah,
I was thinking it was more along the line of about $30,000
yeah.
is what, it was looking at it, that it was gonna equal out to about $15 an hour. And that's staying under the federal mandated 30 hours a week of
Right.
part-time labor. Is that right?
We have to do 29 hours or less.
Or 29,
If
yeah.
it's 30, then we have to offer.
Yeah, that's right, 29 hours or less,
Right.
yes.
All right.
And that 17,000 will take care of part-time uniform and.
Part-time
Equipment.
uniform, some extra
If
gas.
you set
a little bit of-
$17,000 for salary, you're not gonna be able to move that into uniforms.
No.
You're not gonna be able to use that move that into travel expense. It's gonna be set directly for, salary. You won't be able to move it. That's just like everybody else's budget, okay? That if you're gonna take 17,000 and you pull $1,000 out of that and set it aside in a line item for for uniforms or something like that. Constable Sullivan's been a very good steward about the utilization of his travel expense and his uniform expense, and more than very generous with the people about, you know, how he funds himself. And I feel certain that he would most definitely continue to operate in that same manner. But if we're gonna supply him with a constable, a deputy constable, I think we need to support him fully the way it needs to be done.
Tom said he can come up and
The
explain.
request is $17,000. That's the request.
So $17,000 would be directly in the salary.
Yeah, he just,
How does
That's
that
what-
break out? No?
No, that's what he asked. He asked that that be allowed to be used to allow him to hire a deputy, you know, part-time deputy to help him serving papers.
But if he's wanting $17,000, then, but he's wanting to use uniforms and do other stuff, then we're gonna have to decide what the salary part of it would be, so we can go into the certified salary
Exactly.
schedule, and then the rest of it would have to be either his travel allowance or his, uniform allowance or an expense account. We can't put it all, the whole $17,000.
All right, look at it this way then. Look at 15,000, figure 15,000 part-time, and just tell me what that would be allowed yearly rate. Break it down, so we can move on.
I'll have to figure out the taxes and around just a second.
Judge, he just texted and said he could come explain, so. He just
I
texted
make
and
a
said,
motion to recess till Tom Sullivan arrives.
I second that.
All in favor?
He's on his way now? Is he coming up this way?
Did you hear what I said?
No.
Tom texted and said he could come up and explain,
Oh,
if y'all want him to.
oh, okay, you
I make a
bet.
motion to recess till Tom Sullivan arrives.
I make a motion just to table it till he arrives.
We can't.
Oh, we can't?
No, he'll be here in 5 minutes.
Y'all wanna skip it?
He's 5 minutes away.
No, let's just hold tight a minute.
I got a motion on the table, need a second. We need to take a vote.
On what?
Do we
What'd you
have a
say?
second?
I'm,
Recess.
Did you second?
I don't think we got a second.
Yeah.
but I didn't hear what he said.
Oh,
What'd you say,
I
bro?
said I'd make a motion to recess until Tom Sullivan arrives.
Second?
all right. Then we
That-
have a
that will-
second. We have a second now to recess until Tom Selman arrives. We'll be recessed for 5 minutes.
5, 10 minutes. Thank you.
I never heard what he said.
Yeah, it's kinda hard to hear that.
Yeah. He said 5 minutes away is what he said.
Sure.
But anyhow,
He needed a break.
You will leave the
Just let it run.
I mean, I think y'all.
here, they go to the last bit on it.
Yes.
Here, you wanna? Yeah. Gary.
I think y'all are clear on the procedure, I just need to specify what's gonna be salary, and what's gonna be expenses.
You'll be here in a minute.
Which one's he talking about? What's she talking about? Tom?
Who's still alive?
All right, Tom, give us just a minute to call everything back to order. No, you can come in, go to the podium. You're gonna be grilled.
Okay.
It's a low burning simmer, it's not a grill.
Okay.
I guess
Thank
you've
you
been.
for coming.
Sure, thank you for having
You've
me.
been listening to everything up to this point.
Yes, sir, I did, yes.
As soon as Commissioner Pitts gets back in here, we'll go ahead and call everything back to order.
Okay, all right.
You can explain your situation.
Sure, thank you.
Good thing.
She was asking if she had to sign up to speak on the public forum on the tax rate. I don't think she does, because we're having a public forum for her. So she wants to speak.
Yeah, no, that'll be fine. Yeah,
Don't let me
no,
forget to
Amy.
call her in.
See, that will be a totally separate.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so too, but I want to make sure. She knows where I live, so we can't skip her.
She looks pretty adamant about coming.
You know who that is, don't you? Jody Mitchell.
All right.
Mitchell Homes. You know, Huntington Mosley. Jody Mitchell, that's Amy, his wife.
Okay. Good deal.
For everybody that's listening, we're getting ready to go back into session. Give us just another moment, please. You good? Okay. All right, now we're going to go ahead and call everybody back to order. We are back in session, and I'd like to introduce Mr. Tom Selman to explain what we were discussing the last. Okay.
Thank you very much,
ahead,
Judge and
Tom.
Commissioners. Appreciate you having me over here on short notice and relatively unprepared. But I congratulate the court for making the hard decisions that they have to make. And to me, the issue that I've always seen in this matter has been an issue of workload and whatnot, and equal pay for everybody is fair. And it's just the distribution of the workload that has always been my complaint or my concern. And so the way to level the playing field in that regard is to provide me with some assistance. And, I do represent the largest precinct in the county population-wise, and the people are the problem, the people are the issue, people are the ones that we serve, not large land masses and all that kind of stuff. But that's fine. What
I had asked for last year when I appeared before you is basically what has been injected today. And what that amounts to is, just a breakdown on it, the $17,000 that was mentioned, that was a $12,000 budgetary amount to provide for labor, okay? And I believe I'd originally proposed or asked for that labor to be paid at a rate of $22 an hour, because when you call somebody in to work part-time and you work them a half a day or 2 or 3 hours, whatever you need, you know, if you're paying them $10 or $12 an hour, it's not really worth their time to come out and to serve on a part-time basis. So there would be no benefits, no vacation, no health insurance. It would just be a part-time position. And so I don't know how many hours a year that $12,000 would break out to, but roughly at $20 an hour, that would be around 600 hours. So anyway, it's not that much, but, and I don't plan to use it all. It would be on an as-needed basis only. And my full intention, if y'all had funded this for me last year when I came before you, is if you call somebody in when I need help serving 600 and something papers or serving as a bailiff, if I call somebody in to come work a day or whatnot, that day would not consist of them sitting around the office and talking with girls. If at the end of the work that I had assigned for them, that they had more time left to do other things, we would be totally capable of going over to the sheriff's department and assisting them with their papers, okay? And so the part-time deputy here, I would use him to the full benefit of the county, not just for my benefit. I would use him to get the county's business that's being done over at the sheriff's department on this civil process, because they have a lot of papers as well. But see, this year, starting on September the 1st, the limits of the jurisdiction of the Justice Court was doubled. It went from $10,000 to $20,000. So what that means is that lawsuits that can be filed that are more than 10,000 but less than 20, those papers were normally handled by the sheriff's department. They would come out of the county court at law. Well, those papers, a lot of those will probably be coming over to JP Court in Lufkin. So, in a sense, the sheriff's department workload could kind of come down possibly a little bit, and mine could go up. So, to offset that and to supplement their staff, if you will fund this part-time position, our attorneys and our plaintiffs and the litigants in this county would be better served, because we could get a quicker turnaround on the business that they're bringing to us. Because
I know you have a very valid point in what you're making, and I don't think there's any, I'm just speculating again, I don't think there's any objection in this court of providing this position. We're more in discussion of how we need to break this
okay.
down.
All right. I just had a brief visit with Janet, and the breakdown would be, I'm asking for $12,000 for salary.
Yes.
That covers workman's comp and matching FICA tax and all that stuff.
And then uniform.
And then $3,500 for travel allowance to move this person around as they need to move. And then $1,500 in supplies, just as a startup expense to, buy badges and uniforms and that kind of stuff. Probably won't need that much, but again, it was just a round number that was thrown out there spontaneously with, and so that's how you break it down. $1,500 for some patrol supplies, $3,500 for travel allowance, and $12,000 for salary. And then you would set the salary, and I'm asking for $22 an hour, because it could be just a 3 or 4 hour gig that the person would be summoned in to work. And I would also ask the court, constables are required under the government code to submit a request to the Commissioner's Court to fund or any position or to appoint a deputy, whether it's a reserve deputy or unpaid or whatnot. And so I'd ask that, that the court would also approve.
He would be a full-time deputy classified under T-Cole as a full-time deputy constable.
They
Is
would,
that
they would
correct?
be a deputy constable,
Yes,
not full-time. There's no
Or-
full-time or part-time
Okay.
distinction. They're either a
Deputy constable.
reserve or they're a deputy. And so he would be a deputy, but his pay status would just be part-time. And he may work, 10 hours this week, and it may be a month before we need him. And so if we don't spend and I don't anticipate spending the full 12,000 unless we need to help the sheriff's department out to clear their backload. So that's just an up to, but, in many years
One thing-
past, I've never used all my budget, so.
One thing that you haven't mentioned is we've also got 2 new apartment complexes coming into Lufkin area.
Yes, sir.
So there's gonna be that much more
Well,
need.
business is brisk over at our court, and, we have because of the COVID, the court's sitting on around a 600 case backlog over here at Judge Ball's on the civil side. That doesn't count traffic or anything else. And unlike a traffic ticket where people call in and pay over the phone, a civil case and evictions, every one of those has to be heard. There has to be a hearing and whatnot. So they're trying to get set up to do virtual, to where they can go on the Zoom. And the Office of Court Administration has set up a virtual site for court hearings. We've been testing it and trying it out, and it's really good and it works well. And there's even a YouTube channel that becomes the public gallery that the public can tune into, and they can watch these hearings live on their computer. So we got a lot of stuff going on at Precinct 1. We're real busy. We have a lot of cases coming through, a lot of evictions. We have new properties coming online, like the judge mentioned. So it's just going to get more work, not less. And so that's why, if you'd see fit to provide me with some assistance, I think we can do a good job for the people out there and help the sheriff as well.
Ms. Carter, is that enough
Janice.
information to?
Okay, well, I was fixing to say, Tom is speaking in terms of round numbers, but I've got to speak in exact numbers. So the position for the salary would be $11,000, and then when you add the tax and the workers' comp, it makes it $12,033. So that means then that either travel or uniform would have to drop down to $33 less, or either it would be $17,033 instead, so whichever.
That sounds
Okay.
Yeah, I would say.
Can we live with Janice's figures?
Sure. Yeah.
So I just need to know if it needs to be 17,033 or if it needs to be 17,000.
I'd say that, whatever y'all choose.
17,033.
Okay. All right, we're good with that
Yeah,
then.
good.
All right.
Well,
Any more questions for Tom, or can we move on?
I think that was good, some good information.
Now, did we not have a motion on the floor a while ago?
Not yet. We've got to have, the actual motion would need to be to approve the fiscal year 2021 budget with the recommended changes. The recommended changes were the changes from the Salary Grievance Committee, both of those changes, and then the addition of the
Okay.
reserve deputy or the part-time deputy for Precinct 1 Constable's Office. With those recommended changes, financial changes. All right. So, do we have a motion on the floor for that?
I'll make a motion.
All right. All right.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor to adopt the fiscal year 2021 budget for Angelina County, Texas, with the recommended changes from the Salary Grievance Committee and the increase cost there.
And the budget
Yes, sir.
workshop.
I can tell that you're wanting to approach. Come on forward.
Does that motion also include the changes that were recommended from the budget workshop?
Yes, that also, that was mentioned earlier, but yes, that does. And this is going to be the recommended changes from the last budget workshop, and not the proposed judge's original proposed budget. All right? We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And let's make it a record vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, aye.
Aye.
All right, we have a record vote, all ayes. Any, none opposed, all right. Oh, it's been a long day, all right. Thank you, Tom.
Well, thank you for your consideration today, and I can assure you, as always in the past, the Constable of Precinct 1 will be a good steward of the county's money, and there will be no unnecessary expenditures made, and we will do a good job and help the sheriff and his civil process department as well, and try to take some of the load off them.
He will be happy to hear that, so.
Thank you,
sir.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you, sir.
Thanks, Constable. All right, so we have adopted the fiscal year 2021 budget. Let's move on to item number 11. Item number 11 is discussion action to ratify the property tax increase reflected in the 2021 fiscal year budget for Angelina County, Texas, as required by section 111.008 of the local government code. Now, the increase is shown, and this is the to ratify this property tax increase is what's been reflected in past years. This is a terminology that we used. I don't think it was used, Carrie, did we use this last year? This same terminology? I don't think so. Did we?
I don't recall if we did or
No.
not.
I don't
We did
think we
not.
did. I
It's
don't
just a
think we did.
requirement in the local government code that anytime we're gonna adopt a budget that requires raising more revenue from taxes than in the previous
Right.
years, you have to have this separate motion in addition to adopting the budget.
Okay. All right, then we need a motion to ratify the property tax increase reflected in this year's fiscal year budget.
I make that motion.
All right, we have a motion on the floor,
Second.
and we have a second. Any further discussion to ratify the property tax increase reflected in 2021 fiscal year budget? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have one opposed.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
I opposed.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have two opposed then.
yes.
All right, then let's do a record vote.
Let me ask a question first now.
Certainly, certainly.
This is telling us that our taxes are going up because of the property tax.
No, the tax revenue increase. Okay? Says that the property tax increase reflected, there is a total tax increase, but keep in mind that our tax rate is the same as the last 2 years.
Yes, sir,
Going forward.
but the reason it is going up is because
Increase
increased value on your houses, correct?
and also increase in new property added to the county.
Yeah.
There's 302,000 increase in new property.
Right.
The total is just over $1 million of new revenue that's being increased by property taxes.
That's
As it
overall, that's the
states-
two combined.
As it states, this is an increase of 6.21%
We're not-
tax increase.
We're not to that yet. That's gonna be several steps down. But yes, you are correct, but that's several steps down
Okay.
that we've got to adopt that.
I got a question.
Sure.
If we don't approve this agenda item right here to ratify this tax increase,
We can't go
we
forward.
can't fund the 2021 budget, right?
No,
Or the
no, this is a requirement in the local code to move forward, so we have to approve it to move forward.
Okay. I just want to clarify that. I never have seen that.
Yes,
It
there
was
is.
2
So-
years ago it was on there.
Your statement's correct, Commissioner, that this is a separate requirement in the local government code, and it has been on agendas in the past. I don't remember if it was on last year's or not, but anytime the funding of your budget requires more money from property taxes than the previous years, you have to have this separate, motion and approval that says the budget we're passing requires more money than it did last year, and we approve of that. And it's part of the budget approval process, so essentially, without approving this, you don't really have an
You're
approved
not gonna
budget.
approve the budget.
Right, so.
And it will be on ours from forward when Counselor Kirby found this, it will be on our proposals from now on out. It was just not on there.
And it's been on the agenda in some years past, I don't remember which years, but it's just essentially recognizing and ratifying the fact that this year's budget requires more money to fund it than last year's. It's not adoption of a specific tax rate which would be
That'll
a
be
subsequent step, yes.
Okay,
All right.
just want to be clear on that.
Not a problem.
It is a little bit confusing, and it seems
is.
kind of strange that it's in there, but that is a requirement of the code.
It is.
All right.
All right, now, everybody clear?
Yes, sir.
Everybody understand? All right, now, we have a motion. We had a motion,
I made a motion.
and we have a second.
Yes.
Right here. All right. Now, all in favor of ratifying the property tax increase reflected in the 2021 fiscal year budget? Precinct
Nay.
1, nay. Precinct 2,
Aye.
precinct 3.
Nay.
All right, and I am aye. So we have 3 for, 2 opposed. Got it? Aye. All right, the property tax increase has been ratified. All right, now, item number 12, Angelina County Commissioners Court will now open a public hearing regarding the proposed tax rate for 2020 tax year. All right, now you understand that the 2020 tax year is going forward into the 2021 fiscal year. Amy, come on forward. I know that you've been very patient waiting, so come on in and state your name for the record, please.
I'm Amy Mitchell. I wanted to talk a little bit about your proposed tax rate. The tax rate that you guys just ratified is in effect the same tax rate that we've been under, but what we in the real estate industry refer to that is as a hidden tax. What you have is you have property values and new additions to your tax rolls that have gone up, yet your tax rate stays the same, which generates more revenue for the county. My question as a taxpayer and a business owner in Angelina County is, if your total budget went up $1 million in revenue, which is what it appears to from what's online, $1 million more than what you had last year in the budget, why then can you not roll the tax rate back and keep that same budget as you had the year before? I realize that you just created a new position, which is $17,000, that was going to be on your budget. You've amended your budget to include that and the pay for the constables, which I appreciate. Seems a little unfair that one group had to fight and the other one didn't, but I'll leave that to you guys to sleep at night. My question is, though, why do we need that extra $1 million? I understand COVID has affected sales tax, and I understand that's down, but if your overall revenues are up $1 million, then it seems as though it's offset itself.
I will address that.
Sir?
I said I will address that as a public hearing and answer your question.
Oh, good. I didn't.
We also have $1 million that was taken out of the budget that's not being considered, taken out of our emergency contingency fund. There's a lot of things that happen when we're in budget workshops that are discussed. This was one of those things, okay? So that basically wiped that out. We've got to not take money out of contingency funds to take care of other expenses. This last year, we took $2.5 million out allocated of funds that we had set aside for emergencies, okay? That is one of the things, that is the reason why we've been so tight this year. And we're doing everything we can to keep the tax rate as low as possible, trying to keep it the same so there's not a burden on our taxpayers. We're working hard at that. But we also know that we can't continue doing that forever because we are eating into our emergency funds. So we're probably going to be looking at a tax rate, and that's where my comments came from earlier, where I'm sure that we're going to be looking at a tax increase next year. We can't continually do what we've been doing. There is, out of this particular budget, we've taken let's see. Janice, help me. there was an additional, how much did we take away this time of the total amount that we're not funding? It was close to $65,000 in nonprofits, and that's what I'm working on right now, clarifying that. But we took that out this year, that we have always funded Alliance for Children, took money out of the Expo Center that we've always helped them. I've got a list of items there that we're taking out just because the budget was so tight this year. We just didn't have any choice. Money just wasn't there. And so we did have to do a lot of adjusting. But I understand your concern. Yes, ma'am.
We also have to understand that the county budget is not just reconciled with property taxes.
No.
We have sales tax, we have all of our revenue, our fees that come in from our revenue, our fees that come in from our JP courts and our district court and our county court. And so that's all, with this budget, we decreased all that because of COVID. We don't have the revenue coming in. And also, the sales tax revenue is down, and of course, that could come back up. We have no control over the sales tax. And so there's other things
There's a lot of things.
there's a lot
Sure.
of things that goes into the whole picture. It's not just the property taxes as far as balancing the budget.
And I have
Hopefully-
read your budget, last year's and this year's, and I understand where you're coming from. I would say, though, as a business owner and a taxpayer, there are places still in your budget that could be trimmed. I've looked at it in detail over the last 3 or 4 months, just trying to figure out where things were. I think that as a county, you owe it to the taxpayers that pay in this county and the business owners that choose to do business here to help with the sales tax and other things that go on in our county to look at that a little deeper. That's all I had to say.
That'll be fine. I would like to mention one other thing too. Of the 12 area counties in our area,
Sure.
we're still third from the bottom in the lowest tax rate. We're doing everything we can to try to keep that rate down.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. All right. If there's no more out here. Okay. No more? All right. At this time, then, we're going to close the public hearing, item number 13, and move on to item number 14, discussion action on adoption of an order setting the 2020 tax rate to fund the budget for the fiscal year 2021 Angelina County. Commissioner, you have.
I move that property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.43712, which is effectively a 6.21% increase in the tax rate.
All right. We have a motion on the floor, and I would also like to reiterate to the public that this is a motion that we have to use the verbiage that the state tells us to use, even though this is not a tax rate increase. We've had the same tax rate as the last 2 years that we're having this year, but we do have to adopt this. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a second for this motion, and we will have to have a, is there any further discussion? All right, we will have a vote for record. Precinct 1,
Nay.
nay. Precinct 2,
Aye.
judge is aye.
Aye.
Nay.
All right, 3-2. Got it? All right, thank you. All right, motion does pass by 3-2. All right, now, item number 15, discussion action on adoption of the Angelina County salary schedule for the 2021 fiscal year. I would like for this to reflect that the salary schedule is going to be changed with the Salary Grievance Committee recommendations and the new salary for the part-time change that we made with the Precinct 1 constable. All right, gentlemen? We need an adoption of the Angelina County salary schedule.
I make a motion we adopt the Angelina County's
Salary
salary schedule for 2021 fiscal year.
With the changes.
With the change.
With the changes, correct. All right,
Second.
and a second.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
All right,
I'm in favor.
you're in
Yeah,
favor
he's in favor.
of the salary, okay, and we got one nay.
One nay.
All right, got it? Oh, I'm for it. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes. 4 to 1. All right. All right, now, item number 16, appearance of Jill Brewer, County Treasurer. To present the quarterly investment report for the quarter ending June 2020. Good morning.
Good morning, and I bet you're thinking in your mind, it's about time. It is about time that girl brings that thing in here and does it. Well, before I begin with the investment report, I want to announce one more time that we need to finish our censuses up if we haven't, that's a hard thing to say. Our census up, if we haven't done that, you can do it online, it's fast, it's anonymous. And the only reason I keep bringing it up is because the deadline is the 30th of September. I read in the paper, we're not at 100%, so that's money into our community. It's money into our county, and since I'm the treasurer, I like to talk about money.
And
I like to
that's-
talk about other things too, but not while I'm in here.
And that's the new deadline. We've had
That
the
is the
deadline
new
keeps
time,
moving.
yes. They had the deadline here, and then they moved it to October, and then
Yes.
they decided that we've had plenty of time. I guess, I don't know. That's my take on that. So that's money into our community, so I know I'm the boring part of this meeting, but if you're still watching, it's www.census.gov, and we appreciate everybody's participation in that. Now on to the investment report. June 30th, it's just a recap of the 3 months that we've already discussed many months ago, so I'll go ahead and refresh your memory. The first page of the investment report is a letter, and then the second page is by investment company. I didn't really do anything tricky or fancy on this, except for now that we have so many different entities in our portfolio that we now have a 2-page for our investment by company. And we began with, that's our Ubank account that we opened up, and we put $2 million in it initially. Let's see, we took some money out of our funds management. I moved some money into our money market account, $3.2 million. We did a little investing in our Financial Northeastern. We put a little money in so we could get the higher interest rate on an aftermarket CD. And that whole Financial Northeastern's company, that whole thing is a portfolio in itself. Within our portfolio, I updated the Southside Waste Management. We now have $7.9 million in there. We made approximately $99,000, I'll get it in a minute, $99,000. I took a little bit of money out of our text class account and moved it around so we could do some investing at a higher interest rate. And then most of that out of text pool, I always put that on there, whether it's an investment move or not, to get the balance. But our net, I'm sorry, I misspoke. Our investment transfers are there. It's $2.2 million. I moved that around, moved it to, probably moved it to our money market fund. At this time, we had just, at the very last day of June, we received the money for the 2020 anticipation notes that we took out this year, or y'all took out this year. So it'll show up on the fund when we get to the fund sheet, which is fund, not fun. So I have updated that number for you, Judge. You're always interested in what we have in our waste management trust. Everything else is just fairly generic. I didn't do anything fancy or tricky. We just opened up the Ubank. And so it was the only new thing that we did during the second quarter of this year. If you would like, we could go over what the balances are as far as the funds go.
Jill,
Yes, sir.
before you go forward, I know that you've just opened up the Ubank, but what are we looking at interest rate?
Oh, it's going to stay the same. It'll always be 0.65.
Okay, 0.65.
Yes, sir, and we're gonna keep, that's what they offered us, and that is our third best interest rate right now.
Right.
Right now, we have the CDs still in commercial bank.
It just wasn't reflected.
It's not on there. I didn't add it. It was a new thing. Sorry about that.
That's all
It
right.
certainly is not on there. I will put that on there
That's not a
before I put
problem.
it on the internet. We want the public to know. Thank you for pointing that. I am so
You bet.
proud of you. You're asking good questions. You're doing good stuff. I'm proud of you. Okay, so anyway, you kind of tricked me up there a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna add that. So before it gets put on the internet, it'll have 0.65 on there. That is our rate. That's what they promised us, and they have maintained that. They haven't gone up. They haven't gone down. And interest rates are important, especially in the investment climate that we're in right now. If you gentlemen would like for me to go over by fund, I can. The only thing that I think is different on here, I hope it's on here. Let me find it. There's a lot of funds. We have a lot of funds. Okay, about the middle of the second page is where the debt fund for your 2020 anticipation notes are. You'll see that we started off the quarter with 0 and we added $5.8 million there. So that's why we have such a good, healthy balance at the end of our, we gained money. That's why we started out with 39 and we ended up with 43. We don't usually do that except for in January and February. Everything else is pretty much the same. We got a little money in our CARES grant, but I'm not sure, I can't remember. I do a lot of stuff. I read a lot of things, and I don't remember if it's on here or not. Doesn't look like it's on here. We might have started that in July. I do a lot of stuff. I read a lot of things, and there's a lot of funds here, so it's hard to keep up with what's new and what's old and what's been hanging around. So if you gentlemen have any questions about by the fund, broken down by fund, I'll answer them. If not, then we're gonna move on. We're gonna look at our certificate of deposit schedule. We had a certificate of deposit mature in May. We could not obtain the 1.6 that we had for an interest rate, so we settled for a 1.55. It was a great interest rate then. It's still a great interest rate. It's just not where we were when we started in February. That's how much these things have changed in just a few months. When they say the bottom fell out, the bottom fell out. We were losing, we would lose up to a half a point every 3 or 4 days there for a while, but I believe it's leveled out. And I don't really have anything else about this. Unless if someone has a specific question about the investment report. I don't really have anything. I'm just supposed to present it to you. You don't have to like it or dislike it or approve it or vote or anything like that. It's just for me, it's information.
Good report. All right. Gentlemen, I'd like to have a recommendation to
Motion to
accept the
approve.
report.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion for Jill? All in favor?
I'm not leaving.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. Item number 17, appearance again of Jill Brewer, County Treasurer, request approval of the monthly treasurer's report
For August.
for the month ending August 2020.
Yes, for August. The state statute says I have to come see you gentlemen once a month and do this. That's why you have to put up with me once a month, and we have to go through this. And it's important that we do it. We need to know where our investments stand. We need to know where our long-term liabilities lay. We need to look at funds. We need to look at our CD schedules. We need to be apprised of what's going on, and I'm going to apprise you of some things before I leave today. And I learned that word watching Star Trek, oh, by the way. He used to say, number one, keep me apprised, because he didn't want to be surprised. And I learned that word, and I love Star Trek, and I don't know why I told you guys that, but I just really love that word, because it means that you're on the offensive, and you're not on the defensive. Yes, yes. Mr. Spock over there in the corner doing the hand signals. All right, so our first page is, of course, our cash flow statement, and it kind of shows how money moves in and out of the fund during the course of the month, the different funds. Now, on here, you'll notice that your tax notes are on here. I know you gentlemen are interested in that. You want to keep up with that. We also have our CARES Act on here, which is about, let's see if I can find it. It's fund number 59. It's about halfway down the page. We're working on that. I don't think the cash is, no, it is. That was the payroll fund. I apologize. There's a lot of numbers, as you can attest to. So we've got $435,000 starting off with that, and we are supposed to spend that on COVID things, and so that's going to help us cover some of those costs that we've had to incur over this this unusual circumstance is what I like to call it, because it is definitely unusual. Now, if you gentlemen would like to turn to the second page, or you may already be there. On the second page, I want to remind you that we have three different investment companies that always have the same interest rate, and that would be our U-Bank, which is at 0.65. It's on here, Judge. I got it on this one. I didn't put it on the other one. I had to add that. And then we still have our CD at Commercial Bank that's at 1.85. Don't we wish that that was our low one now? That used to be our lowest thing, and now it's our best thing. And then we have a money market account at Commercial Bank, and they keep holding steady at 0.9. So I'm happy about that. And that's where we have the bulk of our money is in that account. And we have some money still in our First Bank of Wichita account. And that's what I've been drawing down to pay bills. So last year, our sales tax payment was $601,000. And this year, it was at $651,000. So we gained about $49,000 extra for this year over last year, which is good. We always want to see growth. We always want to see it higher than it was last year. So we may be on the road to recovery as far as the economy goes in this area. Now, I know overall, the nation's economy overall is going back up and things are going well, even though the interest rate is low. And I think that's why the president has wanted to keep the interest rate low, even though it hurts us as an entity as far as interest rate goes. It's helping the economy, which helps us in the long run because that means people can spend money. So it helps our sales tax. They can pay their property tax, which is the bulk of our revenue. And then that gives money to the state. The state can help us out in the future. We can get our grants. We can get all our things that we get from the state. All of our grants and supplements and all that won't be cut out. Yes, sir?
Cannon Financial Services, is that tied into the printer somehow?
That is our
Original law?
lease for our copy machines. Yes, sir.
Okay,
That is our lease. We are in our second year on that.
okay.
Let's see, we closed our checking account balance was at $484,000. Payables in the month of August was 1.9 million. Payroll was 1.3 million. So that was for last month. I took some money out of our money market fund. I know we have a higher interest rate there. And I moved it to U-Bank, and I know I moved it to a lower interest rate, but we have a cap at Commercial Bank, and I don't want to get close to it. I have to maintain a cap there. We have to be collateralized for so many $1 million, and I don't like to get close to it. So with us getting toward the end of the year, and I just thought I'd move it around a little bit. And that's the only reason I moved it to the lower interest rate is that I can't keep a $20 million balance at Commercial Bank because it's too close to our cap. Okay, so with all these things being said, I would like to draw your attention to our investments at DWS. They are at 0.04. And so that is incredibly low. And so with that in mind, that is a mutual fund. So now I'm going to apprise you. I do it because it's part of my job. I'm going to go say I like it because I read them all the time, so apparently I do like them. I like to read financial reports and statements that are in the press. I like to look at CNN's financial, I like Fox News financial, things like that, some mainstream media financial things. And so yesterday the Dow closed down 800 points. And while that's not a direct reflection of our economy, this was a direct reflection of a report that was issued. I don't even want to say this. Our report that was issued by some big banks that are involved in our central banking. And apparently, the report indicated that our big 5 banks that are involved in our, see, this is out of my comfort zone. I don't like bad news. They laundered over $2 trillion in the course of the last few years. And so with that news, I bring you, because now I'm worried about negative interest. So if I don't tell you that, then I'm not doing my job. And so negative interest does bother me. It means we could lose our principal, and we don't want to do that. Interest is always like icing, and then a little cherry on top. It's extra. We're growing our money. If we ever move into a situation where we have negative interest, then we'll lose our principal. So I'm going to keep an eye on this situation. We've got 1, 2, 3 accounts that are at 0.04, and those are really close to nothing. So I'm going to have to try to find a home for each one of those. They're all, like, one of them is CSCD, and one of them is the tobacco settlement, which is technically part of the general fund. So I may lump those two together. I just need to find a home for the CSCD money, and then I'll keep an eye on the pools and make sure they don't start getting into single digits.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, sir.
If you notice this negative trend and you need to call a special session, don't hesitate getting in touch with us. We can always call a special session to take action on something that you see that needs to be taken, okay?
Our money is very important. This is not, we borrow it, we spend it, we budget it, we maintain it, but it's not ours. It doesn't belong to us. This is the county's money. It belongs to the citizens, and so that's why, you know, we get up here and we smile a lot, and we talk about, we laugh and joke, and we discuss things, but this is not our money. And so with this news of the central banks having some illegal activity, that bothers me. And I didn't even want to say anything. I'm just not comfortable having bad news.
The fact that we're doing this report monthly now is excellent, but if you feel the need.
I will contact you. I don't actually need your permission to move anything. I can do that on my own.
But if
that would be something.
Yeah, if you're
That, moving money is not I don't have a problem. I do that all the time. Janice will tell you. She'll be like, when you're going to write your journal entries, you've moved money like 6 times. Did you laugh?
Yeah. Sort of.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can come up here and stand by me. It's pretty warm right here. But I just wanted to let you gentlemen know that that's what was on our horizon. It may not affect us at all, but it might. And so we have to be on top. This is a strange, it's exciting and it's scary all at the same time. We're moving into things that I don't know anything about. And right now I'm supposed to be at a treasurer's conference upstairs on my computer, so yeah.
Understood.
Yes, sir. No, it's fine. The session that I'm watching, I'll watch it at lunch. It's not a problem. I wanted to present the treasurer's report, and I wanted to tell you that bit of news. I didn't want to wait until the next time because it may be too late for me to tell you that. And I don't see them raising interest rates anytime soon. It's really helping the economy. So while it's not helping our revenue as far as interest rates go, that's just a very small part of our bucket. So I don't see it to be a detriment to us. Unless we start moving into negative interest, you'll be the second ones to know. Well, Janice might be the second one to know. But you're going to be in the top 3 for
That's
sure.
Fine.
Okay.
When you make a motion to approve the report, be sure to add that everybody's signature has to be on it.
Were there any questions about interest rates or numbers or? Okay.
I like the sales tax, sales revenue being up.
I'm sorry?
I like the fact that our sales revenue is.
I do too. That's encouraging that it's up. Now this month that we're in right now, it wasn't what it was last year. But then again, we don't have as many children in school either.
Sure.
We have a lot of them that are studying from home.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you for keeping us abreast of that information with the banks.
Can we get a motion to accept the report with everybody's signature?
Did you get that motion?
I did not.
No, I didn't.
I did not.
I make a motion to accept the monthly treasurer's report with all required signatures.
All right.
Second.
And we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass unanimously. Thanks,
All
Jill.
right, gentlemen,
Good
we'll
report.
see you next time.
Thank
Y'all
you.
have-
Good job.
Y'all have
Thank
a good
you.
week. Thank you.
Thank you, you too.
All right. Item number 18, discussion action on request for the sheriff's office to receive funds through the tobacco enforcement program to conduct controlled buy stings and follow-ups involving the use of minors in accordance with subchapter H.161 Texas Health and Safety Code. Good morning.
You said it, Judge.
You bet.
Well, I'm not here, I'm not asking for nothing. Don't want none of y'all's money.
Good.
This is the program we had, you pretty much said it, this is our TEP or Texas Tobacco Program, and we've done this for about 4 years, and they've offered it to us again. They even give us an increase. We want to do 500, they've given us 500 attempts. They give us $125 a attempt. We get the 125 whether they buy or not. Of course, the goal is nobody sells to a minor, but you know, occasionally they do. We work real close with the coalition on this too, and it's a win-win for everybody. So, anyway, we just ask for your approval on that. I don't think there's anything negative about it at all.
Motion to approve.
Second. Who has to sign this? The sheriff? I thought
The
the
sheriff has been signing.
Sheriff's
it
been
past,
signing, yes.
I think.
Yes.
Motion approved, authorize the
Yeah.
sheriff to sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve authorizing the sheriff's signature. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass.
All right,
Thank
thank
you,
you,
Chief.
thank y'all.
Thanks, sir.
All right, let's see here. Item number 19, discussion action pursuant to section 251.005 of the Texas Transportation Code, Road and Bridge Number 2, submits their road condition report for court records to be presented to the next available grand jury.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass unanimously. Item number 20, discussion action pursuant to section 251.005 of the Texas Transportation Code, Road and Bridge Number 4, submits their road condition report for the court records to be presented to the next available grand jury.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass unanimously. All right, item number 21, discussion action regarding the need for additional membership appointment to the Personnel Policy Manual Rewrite and Update Committee. We've had a recommendation from Mark Gorman that he would like to be on this committee. I've talked to Mark and he said he's perfectly willing to serve. We just need to have him added since we did the original appointment of this committee to begin with.
Motion to approve.
All right.
Why are we having to replace, I mean, did we lose some? Or
We-
we adding one?
We lost one, didn't we?
Two people, we've lost two. Nick Gardner and Roy Owens.
The Sheriff's Department?
They had something come up and they had to miss the last meeting and they said, hey, there was some other things that come up, but they decided that they needed to get off of that committee, yes.
I feel strongly that the Sheriff Department needs somebody on that committee.
I talked
For
to
the
the
simple
sheriff.
reason that it's
Yeah.
the biggest department.
I agree, and I was really surprised when we had both members come out, but there was some things that come up in the sheriff's department that it seemed like they had had their input, and they felt like their input was already brought to the committee, and they didn't need to be part of the, anyway. They both asked to be replaced.
Is Mark the only one
Mark is the only one that has asked
to be back?
to be brought back into the committee, yes. I checked with him to make sure that they're, I understood that he wanted to be, and I checked with him, and he said, yes, he's perfectly willing to serve.
Judge, can I make a brief
Yes, sir,
comment?
certainly.
Commissioner, just so you're aware, the committee before those withdrawals had 8 members, and so we're down to 6 now. If the court saw fit to add Mr. Gorman, that would put us up to 7. There is no required number, and that's entirely up to the court. You could add more or none, but that's where we are right now. We're down to 6 members, and I think the committee was in favor, certainly, of adding Mr. Gorman if the court approves of that. He in fact attended the last meeting, just on a voluntary basis, and it's indicated he's willing to serve on it, so.
I definitely don't have a problem adding Mark. I'm disappointed the sheriff department, the biggest department, is not gonna have anybody on there. Because the personnel policy is not one size fits all. We need different departments input on it, so I'm just disappointed in that. I don't have a problem with
And the
adding
court
Mark.
could add other people, as I said. That's the only recommendation.
We had somebody there today.
We
Get a
had,
motion,
and
didn't
if,
we? We get a motion?
I made a motion to.
I
and
second.
if we have a later request, we can add another person later on, because this is a very important, much-needed rewrite. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, item number 22, discussion action on budget transfer from indigent healthcare. We're moving from conference and training 2150 to office supplies in the amount of $1,400 and dues and publications in the amount of $750.
Motion approved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. Item number 23, discussion action on budget transfer from Road and Bridge Precinct Number 2. Transfer from fund balance of $10,000 to R&M equipment, $10,000. My gosh,
Motion
what have you
approved.
torn up now?
We're tearing up a bunch of equipment and we're trying to repair some.
I'm giving you a hard
some
time.
money around.
I'm just teasing.
Yes, sir.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. Item number 24, discussion action on budget transfer for Road and Bridge number 4, capital outlay of $2,000 to $2,000 telephone.
Motion approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 25, discussion action on budget transfer from Angelina County Extension Office in the amount of $472 from training and personnel to dues and publications in the same amount, $472.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and multiple seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. Item number 26, discussion action on budget transfer from Maintenance Department. $5,000 from their adult probation account to the Senior Citizen Center in the amount of $5,000.
Motion to approve.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. All right, item number 27, discussion action on budget transfer from District Attorney from $442 in investigations account to professional liability in the same amount, $442.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. All right, gentlemen, we're down to item number 28. Consider any miscellaneous and routine items.
Judge, we got 3 reports from our JP, JP1, JP3, and JP4.
Right.
And a submission by Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service, or County Extension Office. Motion to approve all 4.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and seconds to approve the reports on the miscellaneous and routine items. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. Item number 29, consider approval and authorization for payment of the bills as submitted by the county auditor.
Motion pay the bills.
All right. We have a motion and a second to pay the bills. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion does pass. Any opposed? All right. Motion does pass. Pay the bills. Item number 30, gentlemen, recess or adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen. And ladies.